What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2021 Best Podcast News and 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And I host the only online programming in the world for fathers and dads. It's sponsored by Dove Men Care and Dad Central. It's also sponsored by, it's only program in the world for fathers and dads that is sponsored by Dove Men Care, and it's also co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization. And I am the board chair for the Global Food and Drink Initiative, which is a multimedia not-for-profit that showcases Blacks in the diaspora that are doing their thing in food, wine, and travel. We're here this morning, July 30th, on the Morning Vibe, and I am with Mr. Ryan Knight. Good morning, Mr. Ryan Knight.
Good morning. Good morning. Always good to see you. Tell you, the show always gives me a positive morning vibe. So I hope that's what we bring to our listeners. For those that don't know me, my name is Ryan Knight, one of the co-founders of the Afro-Caribbean Business Network and the current co-executive director with my colleague, Nicola Harris. But I'm also an entrepreneur. I run a social enterprise called Detailing Nights. So we do mobile waterless car cleaning. And a quick shout out to Farley Flex and Roderick. Sorry, I don't remember your last name. Barrington, thank you. And they're from, oh my gosh, not Say It Loud. No, Urban Res Solutions.
Urban Res Solutions, yes.
They have a group of dynamic men up at a retreat. And shout out to Kwame at Kinkta Farms. They are camping out there and doing some leadership training. And I got to go up and do a bit of a introduction of what I do and with Detailing Nights and what we do with the Afro-Caribbean Business Network. A lot of great ideas for businesses, and we want to be there to support any young men that are ready to start their business with the right ecosystem so that they succeed. So just want to do a quick shout out there. But how's your week been, sir?
Well, hold on. Before we go into my week, how was that? How was that experience?
It was really inspiring. It was seeing I think there's about 10 young men that are from the Scarborough area getting away from the city, camping out. They're, just experiencing nature and just getting to relax. I saw there was no tenseness. Everybody was just relaxed, talking about business, talking about future, building their own legacies. I always talk about shifting from defense to offense. So getting to brainstorm, what does offense mean? What does that mean when you're going through the world and seeing opportunities and not being afraid to go after those opportunities? Some gentlemen, they are already trading stocks, and some of them have similar ideas, and we're talking about how to join the ideas together. I think it was like a branding or apparel concept. I was like, well, if there's 4 of you that have that concept, have we thought about how to do it together? So making sure we're sharing ideas and really thinking more collaboratively was what I walked away with. But it was so inspiring just to see, that table of Black men around it and brainstorming about their future. So thinking beyond just surviving the week, but really getting to expand their minds. I thought it was awesome.
So not surviving, but thriving.
That's the shift. And that's where, when you're on defense, you're just thinking about the end of the week and sometimes the end of the day. But when you're on offense, you're thinking, how do I build something for my children? How do I build something for the community? How do I build something for not just my children's, but my children's children, right? So that type of thinking breaks you out of your four corners on your block, and you start thinking really nationally and globally. So yeah, I love to see that kind of interaction.
And also you have this big initiative about the digital.
So I am so, oh man, if anything could get me more excited, it has to be this project. So seeing there's about 41 organizations that joined the call. Was that yesterday? Wednesday, to talk about a grant opportunity that the federal government announced through Minister Ng's office, the Canada Digital Adoption Program. And really the call was about how do we jointly put in an application, because we can now run a program that the government wants to get done that's similar to Digital Main Street. For those that know, they were giving out $2,500 grants to help with your online marketing, and also pairing you up with youth tech advisors to help you build your Shopify store. So the federal government's kind of expanded that concept across Canada, and they're looking for nonprofit organizations to run the program. All that to say, I figured this could be a great way for more Black organizations that are supporting businesses to jointly collaborate on an application. So seeing 41, well, there's 2 from my team, so 39 other organizations joined the call, and even a few that have emailed me but couldn't make the meeting, wanting to work together, and not just work together for the sake of saying it. It's tangible, a project that we can collaborate on and move forward. So we put out the form just so people can sign up, and we can get an idea of, who's actually interested and wanting to come to the meetings when we're writing the application next week. 35 out of the 40 signed it, are already signed up. So that kind of blew me, because usually, 40 people will show up, but maybe half or even 10% would be like, okay, I'm in, let me sign up. But that's like close to 90% to say, we feel like this is a good idea. We want to work with you. And so seeing this progress has really been it, as I feel like we're getting closer to convincing you, Dr. Vibe, that the community, the Black community, is a real thing. And hey, if this is that small puzzle piece that can start shifting your mind to it. But actually, I'm glad that our guest is on today to talk, because I'd love to get his perspective on where the Black community is, and if he more agrees with Dr. Vibe that it doesn't exist.
Well, him and I well, before you came into the green room, him and I had a conversation about that. So we're already ahead of you. So I think properly, because you know this young gentleman much better than I do, though interesting enough, before we came on live, he remembered that 10 years ago I interviewed him. And that's the last time I've had him on this platform. But I think proper would be for you to introduce our friend to the stage. So I leave it up to you.
Hey, I appreciate that. So our guest today is Dr. Garnett Manning. And if you live in Brampton and you are part of the Black community, thank you, Dr. Vibe, you would know this man as a trailblazer, a former politician that actually ran for mayor at one time, and also a leader of his own youth foundation, and currently is a licensed realtor. But all that to say, I remember talking to Dr. Manning when I was running for a trustee back in 2014, and unknown number calls me out of the blue just to say, hey, I saw that you signed up. I saw some of your, your flyers, and wanted to reach out, ask if you needed any support. And we got to chatting about politics, because listen, I was completely green in the arena, and Dr. Manning was much more versed in, because he had already won as a counselor seat. I think that was like 4 years or 10 years prior to me running. So the experience that he brought just to that conversation, and being so willing to share and support myself trying to dip my toe into politics, I'll never forget that. And along the way, we've always been able to have conversations just talking about how the community is doing and how it could be improved here in Brampton and, of course, across Canada. So I'm super excited to have Dr. Manning on today as our guest in the Morning Vibe.
Good morning, Dr. Manning. How are you?
Guys, it's great to be. I appreciate that title, doctor. You know, like, I mean, folks just kind of said this guy should be a doctor, and they just call it
I didn't know about that
doctor,
one.
colonel, elder, all kind of stuff.
Yes.
But I think it's good, and I appreciate being here, guys. It's Ryan, you're right. I mean, it's just great to see you and the work you've been doing. Just I turn on CFRB and there's Ryan, and I'm saying, I know this guy. Like, you try to associate with the guys who are doing great, So, but you're doing a great job. Dr. Vibe, my good friend, holy, you haven't aged in a day. You haven't aged much. We've
So true.
The interesting thing about Dr. Vibe, he's not going to throw in a softball, because he interviewed me many times, especially during my times running for office, with my re-election for city council when I was running for mayor in 2010. And he threw the big question: what are you going to do for the community? Why are you running? Why do you think we should elect you as mayor? And you've got to always be on your toe and ready for that. And what I like about him, the consistency, we talked about it a little bit, about being able to stay with what you started. It's bigger than you, it's driven by passion, and you're respected in the community because of what you do, how long you've been doing it, and the quality of which you've applied to make it happen. We're going to talk about the community, because we did allude to that, but I want to tell you, in Brampton, we're literally creating that whole idea of a community. So, yeah. Thank you, guys.
Well, we could start at so many different places, but let's talk about Black Canadians in politics. Mr. Manning, you respectfully have been around for a minute. I'm saying that respectfully.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you feel it is now compared to where it has been?
Right. So I have to say that I am very pleased with where we are politically. And as I was saying, for example, in Brampton, in the next 18 months or 16 months, we will see 3 major elections in this country. Municipal election, which is October next year, provincial election, which is June next year, and the federal election could be a couple of weeks from now. That's going to be called, and we may see an election sometime in October and sometime in September, so probably this year. And I have to say that I have seen many candidates from our community, and high caliber candidates who actually run for the nomination to represent the party they're involved with, or they've been valued enough by the party leader to handpick and acclaim in those positions. These are really great individuals. I've known many of them, communicate with many of them. I do get calls from, it seems like when everybody's running in Brampton, I'm the first guy they call. I just need to start monetize this. Ryan, we got to talk. I got to monetize this free service that everybody's looking for, right? So yeah, I'm pleased with that. And also from a community standpoint, collectively, we could go back to 2018, how we were instrumental in helping the current mayor in Brampton to be elected, because our community came together as a block, and for the first time we have voted strategically and was able to be instrumental in getting a candidate elected based upon not only our wonderful charitable self, but based on how you're going to serve our community. So I'm really pleased with what I'm seeing right now. However, I still believe that there's a lot of individualism out there, and I don't think there is a collective effort. So we're getting the achievement that we're excited about. It's great to see people achieve, and they inspire you and inspire the next generation. But I think we're inspired out. What we basically need now is a collective effort to empower us. And I don't think we're there yet. I think we're lost in the woods when it comes to that. I
love that term, inspired out, because Yes, for me, it's like now I can only get inspired by progress. If I can't get inspired by just seeing somebody talk about stuff. And so, what do you like for you? What does progress look like? So now we're starting to see some momentum. There's more candidates, like really, what to say, not valuable candidates, but like really good candidates, like for lack of fancy term. But like, what do you like? What is next that the Black community should really get around to see better progress, so that it's not just inspiring talk, but we're
Right.
actually executing?
So there's a saying, I think I was the guy who coined that: democracy demands participation. When you live in a democratic society, it demands that you participate. Unless you participate in the process, you're not contributing, and there's a chance you're going to be left out. So there are several ways in which we participate. The right to vote, it's a wonderful thing that we should get up and say, you know what, we live in a democratic society. It's a tremendous privilege and honor to go out and vote. So you do your one vote during an election. But unless you vote strategically, I encourage you to vote as an individual. Always go out and vote, select a candidate, be an educated voter, but you've got to vote strategically. And you've got to be able to look at what is it you want to achieve as a group, as Black people. What is it we want to achieve from the political process? Because we know the power base is there, and a lot of decisions that are made about your life from the moment you wake up to go to bed is political driven. So we cannot be on the outside. But unless we come together as a block under a form of collective thinking and vote from that perspective, we will not be respected, and we will have absolutely no relevance on the political landscape of this country. You're totally relevant.
I'm going to jump in.
Yeah.
Time for me to jump in here now. All right. Yes, so a few things, because you said you've given me this aura of asking the serious questions. So 2 things. A few, but I'll just hit 2 immediately. First of all, I have come to believe that we don't live in a democracy. We live in a capitalistic society. And that politics are important, but even political candidates need to get funding. The economic vehicle is very, very important. So I feel that the economic factor is as, if not more important than the political factor. Your thoughts?
You need both. And you're right. I'm not presenting democracy in an airy-fairy way. We need to get into the game and play it hard. From the economic standpoint, we know all the politicians that are here are funded by people who basically pull the string. They cater to those individuals. The masses basically get a little bit there. But why can't we step up from the economic base as well to be able to fund candidate, to be able to support candidate with our dollars and cents, to make sure that candidate is speaking on our behalf when they're sitting at that table? We're not saying just stay out on the fringe. I'm saying play, not even a game. Get into the game, so to speak, like everybody else. So the economic development, which I know I haven't seen in a while, Doctor, but Ryan is the economic guru, kind of the guy who came into this community by storm as a young guy and began to shout it from the top of the hill. We need economic empowerment. We need economic empowerment. So in the elections we have seen in Brampton in 2018, Brian, the municipal election is a good crucible testing of what we have done. We were able to not only collectively come together, support certain candidates, sat with those candidates and do the interview and say, look, we've got several meetings with you. Why should we support you? And these are the things we'd like to see happen if we support you and you get elected. And we put our money where our mouth is as well. and help those candidates to be there. It's a little step, one small step, but doctor, unless we approach it from that perspective, we're going to be just having people. We said, oh, look, and John Brown is now an MP. You know, oh, look, and such who was in the news. Now she's elected, and we're happy about that sort of stuff when none of these individuals can do one iota for us. So the economic piece is important, but I still believe it's a powerful twin. It's a twin that we have to know how to work.
What could we do to actually move that forward? Like, it's great to talk about, we need to have that kind of collective thought. I feel like you are one of the best people positioned to call that meeting and be like, listen, this is what's coming up. 3 elections are happening. These are the types of conversation that we should be having on a regular basis. If not you, who else do you feel could actually call the community together to say, okay, what is the game plan? And then also getting the different parties or the municipal candidates to present their plan to the Black community and say, hey, this is what we will do for you if you're elected. Like, what would be a path to that?
So to answer that, now I go back to why, you know, Dr. Vibe just even scoffed of the idea of a community, because it's a good question. Is Garnet Manning a leader of the community? Is Ryan the leader of the community? Is so-and-so and so-and-so? How do we even bring this community together? We don't even know where to live. We have no communication with that. I shouldn't say we don't. So we go back to Brampton. So in 2018, when Brown came in, after he was all, you know, had his trouble in the province, he came to Brampton and said, I want to be mayor of Brampton, right? And we had an opportunity to meet with him. And for the first time as a community, we got involved seriously political. And I'll explain. Linda Jeffries was the mayor who had a lot of Black friends, so to speak, people within the community. Because, you know, the world community are made up of a lot of different folks with different interests, especially the charitable organizations and so on. And these are individuals she had many of these friends. But we were able to have meetings with Mr. Brown, community meetings, 70 to 80 people, 3 meetings, a total of 150, about 200 people, sitting with him and said, listen, the Black community is the second largest people's group in the city of Brampton. We're over 100 and, what is it, Brian, 100,000 of us, a vast majority.
Yeah,
how much?
Over 100.
Yeah, a vast majority of us vote. We no longer are charitable people who is going to give away our vote because you come in and shake our hands and smile with us. What are you going to do for this community? Here are some of the things that is happening in the city of Brampton with our community historically. We're shut out of many things. We can't get jobs in city halls. You know, nothing happens. Our kids are being disadvantaged. As the leader of that community, what will you be able to do? We have a 10-point plan that we outline. This is what we'd like to see happen if we would support you. Linda Jeffries then called a meeting with her friends that she knew. But some of those friends said, listen, we've seen you for 4 years and you haven't done much. For the first time, this community put aside friendship, this cushy friendship, and decide to think about the community and where we are going politically, how will we be empowered. And we literally make the move and we said, we're going to support Brown. And the word on the street was the Black community has gone brown, right? And we were able to bring in 5,000 votes. He won by 3,000 change, 5,000 and change from our community. The first time we were voted as a block of people. We were able to elect one of our members, Charmaine Williams, who's also a city councillor. And of course, we had some issues in other wards where too many of our people are running together. That becomes something special. So we form the Community Mayor's Black Advisory, which is an organized group with over about 300 people on this WhatsApp chat. So within no time at all, we can call a meeting. So when we had fight with the Peel District School Board, that it has a history of just, problem with our young people. By the flick of a finger and a button, we were able to fill that place with over 300 people. So we're taking advantage of that kind of collectiveness. And that's why we have so many good candidates right now. And everybody can interview the candidates. We can become very knowledgeable of these candidates. So I have to honestly say, I'm really excited about where we are. And hopefully we can make that become the norm as opposed to the exception. And hopefully we can take that to Durham and Pickering and all these areas. You have a lot of Black people living randomly, and all they have to do is to point on one good old boy, and that good old boy basically, stand in the way of the community progress. I see that happen so many times. Nice.
Well, what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick break. As you see that Dr. Manning is dropping knowledge bombs this morning. And thanks everyone who's watching this live on the replay, especially if you're watching live. Please feel free to put in your comments. We love to get them. And we're going to be back after this little break. And I have a very interesting question for Mr. Manning when he comes back.
Hi, my name is Ryan Oneil Knight, the founder of Detailing Knights and one of the founding members of ACBN Canada. Our vision is to help unite and educate Afrocentric entrepreneurs so they can grow their businesses in a successful and sustainable way. We're helping businesses increase their sales and operations by providing networking, training, and consulting. So as a business owner myself, I found it difficult to find like-minded individuals, especially in my own community, that were doing things on a regular basis to help our businesses grow. ACBN Canada is that solution. We've created this community to surround your business with support to help you increase your sales and your profits. With expert workshops and masterminds to help keep you accountable, come and join us and really get to the next level.
All right, we're back. Vibe and Ryan are back with Garnet Manning. And so I was, while the ad was on, I said, do I save this till the end or do it now? So might as well do it now.
Yeah.
What should Black Canadians be fighting for?
The general response is to, fight for our life, fight for our children. But I think the fight, if we want to look at it from that perspective, would be to ensure that, I hate to use this equality, equity stuff. It's just overused. But I think we should start focusing on empowerment through our ability to come together economically, become independent of others, and live in this space, but be very independent, allowing our dollars and cents to circulate. I think the best way I can ask for that, because I'm not going to say for equity, for equality, to me, to equal with what? Equity with what? Empowerment should be the focus. Independence, respect for our space, create that community that is impenetrable. That's the way I can respond to it. I don't know if that's what you're looking for, but that's what I'm thinking.
But I love that approach because, and this is what I started to realize as you analyze programs that are designed for the Black community. Is it truly empowering the community? Is it creating a space for us to become independent? Typically, they create dependency. So when you're looking at things that people are doing for the Black community, we have to be able to analyze it. And like you said, as a block, to say, okay, that looks good. Let's, as a community, step back, analyze it together, understand where is this actually empowering us. And if it doesn't, we have to be able to say no. just like you said, Linda Jeffrey would sit down with her friends or Black friends and say, okay, hey, I thought you guys were with me. But they were able to look at the data and say, but these two options, one is better. What are you bringing to the table that is better than this? Otherwise, we have to go with what's better. And that kind of leads me into like in the party politics where the Black community has a type of allegiance to, let's say, the Liberal Party and federally, I'll say.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't like understand why when you would want to hear all plans and say, okay, which plan is actually the best? And then we would go for that better plan. Usually whatever comes out of the liberal coffers is just accepted and is usually celebrated. It's not even like they just accept it and they're like gritting their teeth. They will throw parades and have parties talking about what the government has done. So like my thought process is around, I love that you're going down the empowerment road. And so what would be a good approach when I want to stay on the political side, when we're hearing what people are going to do for us, to actually analyze it and make sure that it does what you just said, empowers the community, makes us independent, and we don't just take any crumbs that are thrown our way.
We got to move from the crumbs. I'll give you a good example. So recently, and you know that, a big announcement, and when I mention the Trudeau government or the conservative, I'm not saying I'm putting down one over the other. I just want to use the example of how we can easily get sucked into a situation and the danger that we face every single day. We wake up for our children and going down that road, digressing to maybe back in chain, if you may to say. You know, it was 250 million or 220 million that was announced by the government for the Black community, right?
Right.
So they had a big conference, Dr. V, across the globe. I didn't even know that so many Black organizations existed. This was national. Like the guy who is the head of this is from like Nova Scotia. And it was like hundreds of people on it. I was invited to it. I clicking on the link. And they were celebrating this $250 million that the government said this is for the Black community. So, of course, I wasn't one of the panel, and so I didn't get a chance. I kind of write in and I said, can somebody tell me in the last 5 years, the $50 million that was promised, how many that really finally end up going to the community? So what happened, the announcement is made, election is closed, and so we have the MPs and all these Black politicians that is part of this party comes out to suck us in, to celebrate this nonsense that they know they're just being enabler of a community that is consistently dependent, and at the end of the day, nothing rolled out. It could be an election ploy. And the stories upon stories of when people finally get a couple dollars, it's been thrown at them. They apply for 50,000, they end up getting 5,000. There's just absolutely nothing, or they may say too many applications. At the end of the day, nothing's rolled out. The danger is that you've got people sitting there, their personal ambition or whatever they think they have to do, and they are enablers to the community being dependent upon government handout. And so how do we balance taking their money if it's available? If you
hold on, can I just interrupt for a second? It's our money because it's taxpayers' money.
Exactly.
Right?
It's recycling back.
Just to interrupt you. Sorry, go ahead.
That's an extremely good point. So we're not going to apologize from taking it to do what we need to do with it for the community and the organizations we run, but we must be able to get to a point when they throw 5,000 at you when you apply for 100,000 based on what you need to do, and you just said, take back your money. Don't insult my intelligence. Don't insult me. We need to get to that place as a community where we just refuse. If it's not going to benefit what we do, then we don't need it. Because you can't promise me $100 and give me $10 and expect for me to take that $10 because it's not going to serve my purpose. How do we get to that point as a community, as people, to be bold and brave enough, to be independent enough, to tenacious enough to say, we're not interested in that. Maybe we'll just go to another party maybe we need to sit with the other party to see basically if they're going to respect us.
I just want to, and thanks for that very thorough and detailed answer. And one of the things that you shared there is, I think, one of the things that a number of Blacks got to get away from, the symbolism, right? An announcement's made, everyone's happy. It's just an announcement. Right? People get happy on a symbol. It all is a symbol. Nothing's ever flowed through. It's a, you know, I'm really harping on these days that on many people who are Black are challenged by at least one of these three things: trauma, repetition, symbolism.
Symbolism is one of the things. I think you remember last week I said we don't need another hero. All we need is life beyond the Thunderdome. In other words, don't impress us with any of these symbols. I give you a good example, and last week you guys were talking about that. So the striving potential economic district of Eglinton and Oakwood is devastated.
Yep.
In 2003, when my mind started clicking to politics, got elected, and I got into office, municipal office, that's when, you know, you're now at the table and you understand how politics work from a municipal standpoint. I drove down to Oakwood, to Eglinton, to get a few Rolf's patty. No, I think Tinal, one of those patties was the one you've got to get. And I'm coming up on Oakwood, and I could not get to Eglinton because everywhere I go, there were one-way streets. You can't. It's totally one-way street. And by the time I stop in a few minutes to buy my patty, I got a ticket. Okay. So, all right. What is happening here? What is happening here is that a concerted attempt to literally destroy this particular Black focus marketplace by the people around with power, enabled by their politicians. Because at the end of the day, it is your municipal politician, government, your mayor that makes the change. While these individuals are selling their stuff and in their barbershop, like we said, they're clueless. It's like you're sleepwalking. You're clueless of what is happening around you. You're not even engaged. You have no political clout. You're building economic strength because it's a marketplace, but there's no political clout involved for you to even understand how the process works. That they have set their bylaw officers on you like wild animals. So by the time I stop, why am I going to go buy patty for $3 and get a ticket for $15-20? So I have not been down there in a long time. Why do I go through all the trouble of trying to come through and cut through and I can't? It's because concerted effort to destroy the economic health of a community, but the community wasn't aware of what was happening. That's an example of ignorance and symbolism.
I'm going to piggyback again. And for people who are watching this worldwide, we're talking about Toronto here. So some people are going, Brampton? What's Brampton? Brampton's a part of the Greater Toronto area. Yeah. And Eglinton Oakwood for many years was known as Little Jamaica. Actually, I spent a number of years growing up off Marley Avenue, for people who know where that is. So I know I went to some early years in my life in that area. But again, there's another concern, and you know, kudos for them having the market there. I know Ryan's been there, but unfortunately it can't get far because one reason, as Mr. Manning said, political, and two, Blacks don't own any of the land there.
No. So we get an heritage. It's a little heritage place saying, oh, you know, we get a little plaque says some heritage.
Symbolism again, and nothing wrong. Yes. But you know, unfortunately, a lot of the owners there that were there for years and years and years didn't think about possibly buying the land. And even if they didn't get accepted, I would have loved to have asked some people down there, did you ever think about buying what Jumoke? Because at least if you get pushed off, you're going to get money for it. Right? It's a commercial form of gentrification. But really and truly, right? Because we think about gentrification just with residential owners. Gentrification happens at the commercial level too.
As well,
like in this city where you see all these condominiums going up, it's gentrification, push them off. And what's the common thing, whether it's commercial or residential gentrification? Land.
Oh yeah.
And that's
Land.
where, like, when I talk about shifting from defense to offense from the 90s, I mean, people have been living in Little Jamaica from the 70s. Nobody was coaching us to be on offense, to see what opportunities are there to purchase that land. Even Regent Park, same thing.
I'm going to interrupt you there. I say, I agree with you, coaching, but that brings up another challenge that many of us have. We don't like working with each other. We don't trust each other. Because there was enough owners down there. And again, I'm only saying it from where I am, but I would have liked to know, and maybe what needs to be written is a history of Little Jamaica and do some interviews to find out, did you ever think about buying? Did you ever think about reaching out this?
I think that some of them would have thought about it, but because they would go on it after it on their own, the person that, let's say the landlord, wouldn't take their deal. But if they came together, let's say 3-5 barbershops said, you know what, we're going to buy that corner that's now available, they'd be able to put in an application or a proposal that the landlord couldn't refuse.
You know, it'd be interesting. How many different landowners are there in that strip of Little Jamaica? Something tells you probably no more than 3 or 4. If that.
Pretty much. If that much. 2 or 3 was really, really doing well with really renting you stuff they haven't even done much work on. Just a literal disrespect for the community there, but folks just want to sell their stuff and move on. But to this point, Ryan, and I'm wondering if it's because of the early stage of people coming in from the West Indies that has created that level of ignorance and exploitation. Because now we have a Ryan Knight kind of guy who would say, okay, let's organize ourselves. Let's do some education. We're getting that in Brampton because almost like you don't even think, I mean, every day you have people coming in and said, we need to make sure we own our home. We get offended when when the government is building stuff and said, we're going to give you cheap rent. And we're saying, well, we appreciate the rent, but we'd prefer if you want to help us, really help us to buy. So I'm just wondering if the early stage is where they failed. It is because there wasn't that thought process.
Well, maybe the point is that we have to get out of the happy to be here to say we are here and what we're going to do and what are we going to do with it.
Is happy to be there.
We're happy to be here. That we'll just accept things as are, saying no, especially with Black Canadians. Black Canadians have been around this country for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's not the happy to be here. We are here. And let's drill our roots. Again, both of you are from Brampton. Again, look at the South Asian community, what it's done in 1 or 2 generations.
Less than that, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, less than that.
They've got it down pat. What's missing with Black Canadians? Like
that was one generation. Because I moved to Brampton when I was 7, and I'm now 38. And we were like the first Black residents coming to Brampton then in say the late 80s, and it shifted from white dominated to now a few Black families moving in, and then over 30 years the South Asian community was built. And so that to me should be the blueprint that we look at to say we could pick any city and purposefully move to that area and start building Black communities, because I've seen it with my own eyes.
The key is purposefully. And when you build your community, because you understand that there's always that natural pushback whenever we're striving. So you have to build with strength. For example, I was the counselor for Springdale Castlemore, which, as you know, is 90% of the people there. When I was there was 80% South Asian. So I was able to be the city councilor for that incredible community, get deep into the community, know the community, be respected by the community. Lots of my voters are from that community. You cannot have Peel Police running siren in that community, raiding anybody's place unless it's very legitimate. That community was so strong that you don't dare have a cop come in there and beat up on anybody. They wouldn't even touch that place. I use that example and say you've got to build with such strength to protect your community, not only economically, but you've got to you have to have some influence enough to be able to protect your youth when they're coming home and they're chilling out in your community center. No outside interference that's going to come in and mess up your community. For example, Brampton West is where a lot of our people are. We could say there's a huge Black community there, but it's a huge Black population in Brampton West. Hopefully we can turn it into a Black community, right? But we had a conversation in one of the mayor's advisory meeting, and we do once a month meeting. We bring in whatever is happening in the city, we bring in the staff with that particular department, and we have a conversation with the mayor, and we learn about not only Black history, but where parks, and we build how many buses. So we're talking about housing. And the gentleman who came on in the planning, I think we were having this discussion in planning. And the first thing he said, I think we're thinking about building some affordable housing, and I know you guys would be interested in that. Maybe we could build that in Brampton West. And I'm figuring, buddy, here we are having a high-level conversation, and immediately you're going to start building affordable housing in a community of people who own their home. 90% of us in Brampton, Black family, own their own homes. They're not there renting, but immediately they're ready to build that in your community.
Doesn't even know.
So you have to be vigilant enough to say, where is this building going on? What is this building like? And so when Trudeau came into town and he announced this project, it was a huge not-for-profit thing in Brampton West for some reason. And the community themselves, so why are you building this? Not that we don't want it, but why is it there? Is there a reason why you think you should build it here and not in someplace else? That's the problem we face. You have to be able to grow and protect your community. And I'm not against affordable housing, but I'm just saying the perception that you have to build it in an affluent Black community is problematic.
Well, and that's where us receiving initiatives instead of us demanding initiatives, because that and you said it right, those residents in that area, Brampton West, if they had the community that Dr. Vibe envisions already in place, they would have put the plan together to say, what does it look like? What does this community look like 5-10 years from now? What should we propose to the federal government that is needed to be built here? And it might not have been affordable housing. It could have been something else. So that's where the miscommunication is, because Trudeau probably has people come into his office or getting emails saying, oh, Canada needs more affordable housing. So he just kind of throws the dart and is like, oh, Brampton, let's go build it there. And it's like, that's not where it was needed. But they're just answering like a national call, but not understanding the city needs. But we have to bring what those needs are. And just like you said, the 10-point plan that was presented to Mayor Brown, that was us bringing it to him and not him coming up on the podium and saying, hey, I'm now here in Brampton. This is what I'm going to do for the Black community. And here's my 3 ideas. And, applaud me and vote for me. It's like, no. Reverse. We have to take ownership of what do we need to empower ourselves, and let's start making that plan and presenting it accordingly.
So we've got a question here from our regular Christopher saying, so what can we do to generate funds to open up a mini store as a project?
Well, the funds are there. So I wouldn't say it's the what is needed to generate the funds. Because look, we'll use that $221 million announcement that Mr. Manning mentioned. That you could get a loan with the loan program up to $250,000. That is enough money to start a store. Who has put together a concept for the store so that we could go get the money? That's the only difference. It's like and I do sessions about grants and, hey, dude, you awake? I'll be right back. You want someone to say hi? So we do sessions about the money that's
Somebody just
available,
woke up.
but it's are we positioning ourselves to get the money with a purposeful idea? The grocery concept is a great idea, but then also there's grocery stores already that we could approach. Let's say Afro-Can Caribbean supermarket on airport in near Clark. We could approach them and say, listen, we want to open a franchise of your store on the west side of Brampton because they're on the east side. And we will get the money. You let it, hey, if it's 100,000, 200,000, we'll go get the money so that we can get all the stuff and start it in the east side. That's what we should be bringing to the table. Where are we going to put this money? What is the plan? But so we can get the 250 with no plan. It's even worse because now we have to pay back that 250 and we're not actively using it properly. So the money is definitely there. If we could call that meeting and say, hey, we need another grocery store, I would be there, and yeah, let's do it together.
So politics is about numbers, and politicians gets really scared when they know you have big numbers. And in order to get those monies, which is our money, but the way it's controlled, you have to be able to sit down with this politician, with the prime minister, wherever he is, and say, listen, here are the projects we have that would empower our community. Because legitimately, we can show the statistics and the data of the community being disadvantaged in certain ways. But this is what we need, this is what we're doing. And we need X amount of dollars to be able to do that. They're going to say, well, we don't have anyone in your community that can stewardship this money. We're going to give it to some group over town and they'll give you a couple of dollars every week. We've got to build that infrastructure within our community where we can have individuals who we trust, who are part of the focus and the vision to be able to manage that fund. It's not the government's going to tell us where that fund is going to be managed from. It's us who is going to say, this is how we want it to be managed. Again, it's all about collective, organized effort, and you gain respect as a result.
Trust. It's the TT. Get over the trauma to trust.
Over the trauma to trust. Got to get into the trust factor.
One other question he has: can we raise our own funds without a loan?
Yeah, that's a good question. It's to me, we've been talking, Ryan, in Brampton about a community hub, right? Which of course is designed to be a specific place for the Black community that would have a library, a museum, a stake in the ground to identify the community beyond symbolism, but a practical space for young people. And we talked about how we raise that money. And honestly, some grantings would always be part of those. But I believe we have enough people that in our community with money who will buy into a good vision. And I think a place like Brampton, where the municipality would actually donate the space to us, and this is what we're going to be building there over this period of time, this is what we're going to be doing. And we reach out across the nation to where the money is from our community. So the short answer would be fundraising, and I think the money is in our community to fundraise. And that to me is independence and pride.
I would agree with that.
He says also, this is our last question: what type of business can we open up for $25,000?
Hey, you can buy a licensed franchise of detailing
nights. but here's another thing too. You could probably with 25, you could even open up an online business for $25,000.
There's a lot of businesses.
So you don't have to just think traditional brick and mortar. You also so Christopher, I would suggest all roads, as I'm beginning to say more and more, lead to Ryan. See, detailing nights, all these things, all roads lead to Ryan.
And Lawrence, I give you an example, and I should have introduced myself as a licensed real estate agent. So that's kind of what I do, and I actively every day. Land, and so once I get my broker license,
See, look at this. Both Brampton men hitting their phone at the same time. I love it. Go ahead.
We got a little plan
That's
together.
a first. That's a first. Both people answering their phone at the same time.
Amazing.
And let me get more specific. Both black men answering their phone. Both Brampton black men answering their phone at the same time. So I'd like to get specific. Go ahead.
The clients are calling. So a brokerage, Brian, and I know people been talking about having a real estate brokerage, and then over the years we have similar things where we can begin to educate our people and be the ones to sell and trade real estate on behalf of the community, rent and all that kind. If rent and lease needed, you have people you can call upon, you have a brokerage you can call upon to do that side of stuff. That's where the power is, real estate as well, and having the knowledge of people doing it for you. And again, the trust and the honesty that is involved.
Well, we're going to have to leave it at that because both, as you can tell, both these gentlemen have people in queue for them. They're waiting. I will just add in that, and we may want to chat about this offline, Mr. Manning. I had the opportunity this week to interview a gentleman, Blackgemini, who's the CEO of a company that's, well, they're based in Montreal, but they also have offices in Montreal, Toronto, and Chicago. They do project management for people who need home renovations.
Mm-hmm.
So what they act as is you have, so say Ryan wants to enlarge his empire, his home, and you have and then you have the contractor. So this group, his company is the middle person. So they project manage to make sure that the customer feels safe, and also that the contractor has references that are been pre-qualified by his organization. And he's an incredible guy because he's under 30. He actually spent 3 years working with Uber. He actually helped launch Uber in Africa, in about 4 or 5 countries in Africa. But he just started that business. So it may be someone you may want to talk with.
Love to.
You know, in regards to, because he's just beginning to expand in Toronto, but there's an example of doing it the right thing. So Christopher, you also asked 25K divided by 5 people, $5,000 a piece. There we go. So thanks for stopping by. Any final words, and where can people get in touch with you?
So for me, of course, I'm in Brampton, but in the real estate business, you guys can reach out to me. You know, I'm online. It's on my phone number, and my website is anywhere there. Once you Google up Garnet Manning, you'll find that. In terms of those who are interested in politics and be involved in community, connect with me. I'm always open to mentor, always open to help. But I'll make a warning. I'm going to have to start charging.
Oh, finally.
Ryan is the last freebie guy I've done.
Oh, you see? So maybe there's something going on that we don't know about.
Listen, it'll be worth the money. So if you're serious about getting into politics, that call to Garnet Manning would be worth the money, whatever it'll be, to get some guidance and make sure that you run with your best foot forward. So I vouch for that.
And for those who are interested, I'll say now, those who are interested in getting into politics, make sure you've got a thick skin.
Right.
It's not for the faint-hearted.
No, and it's not where you go to find yourself. That's why you get into trouble. People are struggle with having some kind of self-esteem problem, and they think that the popularity and having some office, you get killed. You've got to know exactly why you're going in there. And when you get in there, focus on what you're doing, and you can come out alive.
Exactly.
and still having an interview.
Yeah, you can come out looking good like Mr. Manning. So just that's his first consultation fee. How to survive and learn
that's a good place to start. Exactly.
All right,
Mr. Mike, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
It will not be another 10 years.
No,
absolutely.
Not at all.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right. So, Ryan, it sounds like things. Well, I'm not going to ask any questions because it sounds like something's bubbling, but I'm not going to go in there right now. Sounds like there's a Brampton, what's the word? Brampton think tank that's going on right now.
Hey, it needs to be done. Think tanks across Canada, but hey, let's start in Brampton and show that it can be done because it's needed.
Wonderful.
And yeah, like Christopher Lawrence was talking about, if we came together and economically started working together, we could really dominate any city that we choose. So I'm looking forward to that.
Well, that's fantastic. So what's up this weekend?
This weekend, what is up? Yeah, Emancipation Day is on Sunday.
Sunday, yes.
So, they named the park near Dixie and the 407 Emancipation Park. So I know there's a flag raising at City Hall, I think at 10 o'clock. And then at noon till 8, Emancipation Park Day celebrations at the Emancipation Park in Brampton. So trying to bring the family to that. But I know our family was doing barbecues too, so I kind of gotta bounce back and forth. But yeah,
look at
how
this.
about yourself?
Oh, Miss Harrison, I'm excited for you. Need to connect with you. Let's work on a plan for your friends up north. Oh boy, Peep! I told you all roads lead to Ryan. Told you.
Hold on, she is from the Dufferin. Oh, can you put it in the chat, Alethea? Dufferin County Black Business Association, I believe. But yeah, it's up near Shelburne. So I got introduced to her through the deputy mayor of Shelburne. Oh my gosh, Steve Anderson.
Yeah, yes, I know that name. I know of him. I know of him.
He introduced us to.
That's something and Miss Stevens, if there's anything residual that Ryan leaves that he needs that he can't help with, please feel free to come to me. But all roads lead to Ryan Knight, man. I'm telling you. I'll tell you. So good. Well, yeah. So what we let's see what else she's got it here.
Thank you.
Dufferin County Canadian Black Association. Love to chat with you. If so, contact me either via my website or send me a direct message through Facebook. And she says, awesome. Thanks, Dr. Vibe. Yes. Fantastic. So anything else other than Emancipation Day?
No, tomorrow, Saturday, we have our second class for Black Boys Code. So we are learning coding through the language of Python. Pretty I've been like a student in this class, just learning, because when you get to actual typing out of code, your brain, you feel it expanding, but it's a powerful tool to have in your toolkit to understand coding languages. So that's been exciting.
Wonderful.
And how about yourself, sir? How's this weekend looking?
Got some work to do around the house. I like how it's cooled down a bit, so it's nice, a nice little break. And on Sunday, I actually am doing a special show for Emancipation Day with Robert Small. So we have him on Black Canada Talking. So we're looking forward to that. And I have some odds ends. When I say may, it's probably going to happen, but I may try to get to Black Owned Toronto this weekend.
Yeah, let us know what goodies you get from the store.
I'm going to survey. I'm going to just watch.
At least go get your Ebony Occasions Afrocentric greeting cards.
And why would I buy that?
Thank you. Support my wife.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Well, if I buy some, I'll take a picture and send it to her directly. All right. So as always, folks, love to say thanks for checking us out. We're here Monday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time. I'd like to say thanks to everyone who caught us live today. Althea, thank you so much. Looking forward to hearing from you. Also, Christopher Lawrence, as always, thanks very much. And also all the way from Australia, David Hughes, who's been a supporter.
What time is it in Australia? Isn't it nighttime?
It's about at least 12 hours ahead or so. Yeah. And maybe it's actually tomorrow. It's probably about a few hours ahead. Still probably late nighttime. But David has been a long-time supporter of the Dr. Vibe show and an acclaimed worldwide Toastmaster, Mr. Hughes is. So very good to have him on board today.
Awesome. So appreciate that, David.
Yeah. So what we're going to do here, as I said, we're here Monday and Friday mornings at 9 a.m. Eastern time, then and about. We also, if you want to catch replays of the show, you can go to the Dr. Vibe show on Facebook and on YouTube, and you can go to ACBN or Ryan Knight on YouTube, right?
Right. And we also posted on the ACBN Facebook page,
so you can catch the replays there. So as always, we close out with this: live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. God bless, peace, well, keep the faith, love, faith, and respect, and remember to give yourselves grace. Have a great weekend, everybody. See you Monday.